Have you ever noticed that when your computer freezes up, you immediately diagnose the problem logically?
Oh, absolutely. You look for the cause right away.
Right. Like you think, okay, I have way too many tabs open, or my RAM is maxed out. You know the system is overloaded.
Yeah, it's just a functional limit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then when you freeze up, like when you find yourself standing in the kitchen completely overwhelmed, maybe even crying over a dropped spoon, you almost never think about your mental RAM.
No, not at all.
You just think, I'm broken. I'm a mess.
We really do treat our machines with, far more grace and diagnostic patience than we treat ourselves. We accept that a computer has limits, but we operate under this illusion that human bandwidth is just infinite.
It's so true. And that disconnect is exactly what today's deep dive is entirely about.
I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, so we're looking at a really fascinating set of materials today. It's primarily built around some insights from the Miss English channel. And it dissects how we talk about having a bad day.
And to be clear, the mission here isn't to give you a grammar lesson.
No, not at all. This is really an exploration of emotional intelligence.
Right. It's about looking at the specific, almost invisible language we use to process distress and realizing that ditching perfect textbook vocabulary in favor of messy, grounded phrases actually changes how our brains handle stress.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the central argument here is that when life goes off the rails, our instinct to use complicated words is actually working against us.
It really is a brilliant linguistic paradox, because whether someone is learning a new language or speaking their native tongue, there is just this tremendous amount of pressure to sound competent.
Oh, totally. You want to sound like you have it together.
Exactly. So when we're having a rough day, we feel incredibly vulnerable. And we reach for advanced dramatic vocabulary as a kind of shield.
Like we're trying to prove we're still smart, even if we're falling apart.
Precisely. We think we need to construct this highly intellectualized narrative, right? Just to justify why we are upset. But what the material demonstrates is that dropping the heavy vocabulary and leaning into simple, almost incredibly basic sentences.
Like today was rough, or there was a lot.
Yes. Using phrases like that carries profoundly more emotional weight, and it actually facilitates a faster recovery.
Which, that feels counterintuitive, right? Because if I'm feeling a massive, complex emotion, my first instinct is to find a massive, complex word to describe it.
Right. You want the word to match the size of the feeling.
Yeah, exactly. But when you look at the mechanics of a word like rough, it does something totally different. It's not an intellectual word at all. It's tactile.
That's a great way to put it.
You don't have to think about it. You just feel the friction,
And that tactile nature is really the secret here. When you say, I'm experiencing clinical fatigue due to compounding stressors, you are reporting on yourself from a safe distance.
Yeah, it sounds like a medical chart.
Right. You are intellectualizing it. But when you say today was rough, you're using sensory language. You bypass that intellectual filter completely and hand the listener an immediate physical sensation.
You're communicating that your day wasn't some catastrophic explosion, but rather that every interaction just required a little more friction than it should have.
Exactly. Every task just took a bit more effort.
And the metaphors they use and the sources to describe this are what really sold me on the concept. There's this one image that perfectly captures that low-grade friction.
Oh, the backpack.
Yes. They describe a bad day as feeling like you are walking around with a backpack full of wet clothes.
It's a masterful visualization, really, because, wet clothes aren't sharp. They aren't actively attacking you.
Right, it's not a dramatic emergency.
But they are heavy, they're cold, and they make every single step you take exhausting. That perfectly maps onto the psychological burden of a day where, nothing is acutely wrong, but everything is just draining.
I kept thinking about how these metaphors update the way we talk about cognitive overload, too. Like the feeling of being overwhelmed being described as having too many tabs open.
Oh, that's such a modern, relatable feeling.
Yeah, like when your internal cooling fan is just screaming.
Yeah.
And you can't even figure out right away which tab is auto-playing the loud music.
Like we've all been there.
Or the metaphor for feeling off, where it's described as a song playing too slowly. It's the exact same song, the exact same routine you always do, but the energy is fundamentally out of alignment.
That slow song analogy is particularly revealing regarding how our brains process pattern recognition.
How so?
Well, we are wired to find comfort in predictable rhythms. So when your daily routine is suddenly off tempo, maybe you didn't sleep well, or a meeting got canceled, your brain detects a pattern violation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it takes extra cognitive energy just to process why the familiar song sounds wrong.
So wait, are we basically using complicated vocabulary to hide that lack of energy? Like, if I admit my brain has too many tabs open, I have to admit I'm overwhelmed.
Right.
But if I use, $10 words to describe my schedule, I can pretend I'm still the one in control.
That is an incredibly perceptive synthesis of the material.
Yes.
Advanced vocabulary acts as a sophisticated defense mechanism.
Wow.
It's a process psychologists actually call distancing. We use formal language to distance ourselves from the raw, uncomfortable core of our own pain.
That makes a lot of sense.
So when you strip away those pretentive words and deliver a small, honest sentence like, "It was just one of those days," you are deliberately dropping your armor. It's an act of transparency that invites genuine connection, rather than just delivering a status report.
That makes perfect sense of why textbook English totally fails when we try to explain why the day was bad. There's actually a genuinely funny moment in the material where it contrasts how a robot might describe a bad day versus a human.
Oh, yes, the schedule example.
Yeah. Imagine saying, "My schedule was not successful."
It sounds completely absurd because it attributes intent and emotional failure to an inanimate object. A calendar cannot be successful or unsuccessful. It literally just holds numbers.
Exactly. Unless your Google Calendar has suddenly developed a consciousness and is actively crying, it's just the wrong phrasing.
Definitely.
So the material pivots to the real human way to say it, which is, things didn't go the way I planned.
Which is so flexible. It acknowledges that you had an intent, and it acknowledges the very human feeling of disappointment when reality didn't match that intent.
And crucially, it doesn't catastrophize. Things didn't go the way I planned leaves room for the reality that the failure wasn't necessarily a massive explosion.
Right, which brings us to the compounding effect. Because that is how most rough days actually operate. The pattern is almost always, I was already tired, and then...
No, it's never just one thing. It's the rain filling a bucket drop by drop.
Yes, the bucket analogy is perfect.
Because one drop of rain hitting the bottom of an empty bucket is practically silent. You don't even notice it. But if the bucket is filled to the absolute brim, one tiny microscopic drop makes the whole thing overflow.
We tend to call these paper cuts. Our bad days are rarely the result of a dragon attacking us, They are the result of 100 tiny paper cuts.
Right. You missed the train by 10 seconds.
You spilled coffee on your cuff.
A coworker sent a slightly passive-aggressive email.
Exactly. Each one is just a drop in the bucket.
This circles right back to that tech glitch analogy we started with. Think about a minor bug in a background app on your phone.
It's not crashing the screen immediately, so you just ignore it.
Right, but it is quietly eating up your RAM all morning. By 2:00 p.m., your operating system is severely compromised.
Yeah.
If your internal battery starts the day at 12%, of course that dropped spoon in the kitchen is going to cause a total system shutdown.
What's fascinating here is what is physiologically happening during that shutdown.
Okay, tell me.
When you can articulate, it wasn't a disaster, it was just the little things adding up. You are engaging in something called affect labeling.
Affect labeling.
Yes. You are actively naming the emotional state. And neurologically, affect labeling decreases the activity in the amygdala, which is the fear center of the brain.
Wait, really? Just naming it does that?
Just naming it. So by calmly recognizing the low battery, you actually begin to recharge it.
Wow. And recognizing when your brain is just stuck in a useless loop, too. There's this deeply visceral metaphor in the text for overthinking.
The gum metaphor.
Yes. It says overthinking is like a mind chewing the same thought again and again, like gum with no flavor left. It just keeps chewing, but there is zero nutritional value.
It's rumination without resolution. And once you name it, once you realize you are chewing flavorless gum, you reclaim the agency to spit it out.
That understanding completely changes how we should interact with each other. Because, knowing the grammar of a bad day for yourself is one thing.
But knowing how to respond when someone else's bucket is overflowing is an entirely different skill set.
It really is. And it is where most people unknowingly cause the most harm. Empathy does not follow the rules of logic.
No, it certainly doesn't.
The sources really hammer this home.